In this video, we're going to be taking a look at the Wolfhound Prismatic and Mini Shot Reflex sights. Replacement for your ACOG? Hell no. But it is an ACOG on a budget for the 90% of gun owners that'll never see a war zone. What's up everybody, Max here from NJGF. Today we're taking a look at two budget-friendly optics from Sightmark, the Wolfhound 6X Prismatic sight and the Mini Shot Reflex sight. These optics provide great features at a great price, and these are really good optics for the 95% of gun owners that'll never see extremes. We'll start with what's included in the box, we'll discuss some features, and then we'll take it to the range. So, let's get on with it. The package I received from Sightmark is the SM13026LQDK. What this is, it's a combination of the Wolfhound 6x44 prismatic sight for the 223 reticle, and it comes with the Mini Shot M-Spec reflex sight. Now, most of the time I actually spend playing with the Wolfhound, but we will talk about the M-Spec separately. The packaging is actually pretty good. It's a nice compact box. The packaging is fairly consistent for the price point that you're looking at. What's nice about it is right here on the front, you're going to have all of the main specs written in English. On the side, they repeat the same thing in French. On the other side, it is in Spanish. And on the back, you do get the specifics about both of the sites. So let's take a look. Okay. Inside the box, you will find two instruction manuals, one for the Mini Shot, one for the Wolfhound. Each one is going to come with its own cleaning cloth, which is a nice touch. The Mini Shot and the Wolfhound are going to come already assembled. The only thing you'll have to do is you will have to put in the battery for the illuminated reticle. What's nice is Sightmark does include a rubber cover for the Mini Shot, and they do include these rubber mounts over the lens and the eye cap. Okay, I'll put that aside. You're also going to have a honeycomb filter that they do include with it. The honeycomb filter just screws on right to the front of the optic. And what the honeycomb filter is really essentially designed to do is, from the other side, if someone's looking at it, it's going to prevent the reflection, and also it acts as a pretty good sunshade. Okay, so just like this, it is essentially going to be ready to go to mount to your AR or whatever rifle you're going to be putting it on. However, if you do want to take the two apart, inside the box you will also find a separate mount. You're going to find a separate mount for the Mini Shot. So this can basically mount directly onto your AR if you just want to separate the two optics. What's also nice is if you want to separate the two optics, and let's say for example you wanted to use the Wolfhound on one gun and you wanted to use the Mini Shot on a different gun, what's nice is if you can find this combined package on sale somewhere, you basically have two optics and they don't have to be used together at the same time. Sightmark does provide everything you need to separate them out and use them on two different guns. So like I said, you do have the nice mount with the riser for an AR. You have some extra screws, more screws. You do have a couple of Allen wrenches if you don't have those already. A couple more Allen wrenches. I suppose one is for the Wolfhound, one is for the Mini Shot. Even more. And finally in here we have, I believe this is just a regular mount. Yep. This is just a regular mount, low profile mount for a Weaver rail. So you can just put the Mini Shot directly on here, screw it in, and then you can put it directly on there. And as you can see, it's not a quick detach for both of them, this guy and this guy. They're not quick detach, but basically they use the, actually it looks like this is a star bit. Interesting. Rather than Allen, but you can actually use the Allen keys for these as well. But they are not quick detach. The only thing that you do have that is quick detach is this main mount itself. So, what is it? The Wolfhound is a 6-time fixed power prismatic sight. Once again, it does run with a battery that will illuminate the reticle either red or green depending on what you're looking for. They make the Wolfhound in 2 varieties. The first one is the one that I have here, which is the HS223 model with the reticle for 223 ammo. They have another one for 308. What's the difference? As you'll see on the screen, the reticle is a bullet drop compensated reticle that has marks for both 55 grain and 62 grain all the way out to 900 yards. Now obviously it's going to change a little bit depending on whether it's reloads or not and what velocities that you're pushing out of there. However, generally it's going to be pretty spot on. The center dot on the reticle is 0.5 MOA. What that means is that that dot is going to cover half an inch at 100 yards. The entire circle of the horseshoe covers an area of 7.5 MOA, or about 7.5 inch circle at 100 yards. Typically, Sightmark basically says that the 7.5 is going to be fairly good for using for quick sight acquisition. One nice feature, although I'm not sure how many people are going to use it, is that the marks on the reticle can be used for rough range finding, as the width of the mark is supposed to represent the width of a typical silhouette target or the typical width of a man's shoulders. Now, one nice thing about this scope in particular is that it has a fairly generous 2.8 inches of eye relief, so you don't necessarily need to get all the way on there, and you'll see it in the video a little bit later on when I take it out to the range. The body of the scope is made out of 6061 aluminum, and it's covered by this rubber molding all around on both sides. The scope is IP68 compliant, so it does mean that it is shockproof, drop-proof, but more importantly, it is waterproof, and we'll absolutely test that. Now, the one thing that we do have to keep in mind is that while the Wolfhound is IP68 compliant, the Mini Shot is only IP67. The difference there is while they are both waterproof, the Wolfhound can be submerged for a longer period of time at deeper depths. As per Sightmark, the scope has 70 MOA worth of adjustment built in. Typically, this is just like any other scope. Unscrew the metal caps. And you will find your windage and elevation adjustments. The scope has 1/4 MOA adjustments. What this means is that for every click, the scope is going to move 1/4 of an inch at 100 yards. Therefore, if you need to move the reticle 1 inch, you need to move it by 4 clicks. 2 inches is 8 clicks, and so on and so forth. You can make the adjustments with a flathead screwdriver or using a coin. When you get the scope, the first thing you should do is find your scope's actual adjustment range, and then find its center. To do that, what you'll do is move the adjustment all the way to one side. From there, you'll slowly move the adjustment to the opposite side, and count the number of clicks that you hear and you feel. That number is the actual range of adjustment. Once you get that number, divide it by 2, and move the adjustment back into the opposite direction. This will find the scope's center. Repeat this for the other adjustment as well. One tip I have for you is that take your time. With every scope, you'll find yourself doing this 3 or 4 times as you start questioning your sanity over how many clicks you counted. Was it 20 or 30? Use a pen and paper or a calculator to keep track. After 200 clicks, it's all a blur. Now, while you will not find the center for your rifle, it should get you on paper far more quickly, especially if you're not using a bore sighter. In either case, it's good to know your scope's actual range of adjustment. You can then use the same procedure to sight in the Mini Shot. So that's the Wolfhound. Now let's take a look at the Mini Shot. The Mini Shot is a mini reflex sight. It features a 3 MOA dot, which you can turn on from either side. There are 10 brightness settings, and you can adjust it on the buttons on either side. You can make it brighter or dimmer depending on your vision and where you're shooting. 2 out of the 10 brightness settings are compatible with night vision. On the Mini Shot, the dot is only red, unlike the red or green reticle in the Wolfhound. The sight uses a single CR1632 battery, which came installed. The single battery is good for between 300 and 30,000 hours, depending on the brightness setting. The optic does have an automatic shutoff after 12 hours to prevent the battery draining if you're not using it. You'll find the battery up here by the glass. The sight is housed in the same 6061 aluminum body, and the screen is protected by a steel shield. One thing to keep in mind is that unlike the Wolfhound, which is IP68 compliant, the Mini Shot is only IP67. The Mini Shot is waterproof up to 1 meter for 1 hour. Recoil-wise, the sight is rated for up to 375 H&H, so it should handle most modern sporting rifles with ease. The Mini Shot has 110 MOA adjustment of elevation and windage, and you'll find the adjustment knobs here on top and on the side. Each click is 1 MOA, therefore 1 click will move the dot 1 inch at 100 yards. Now, 2 things that really stand out to me are the 3 MOA dot and the very clear lens. The lens, unlike many similar reflex sights, has almost no noticeable color shift and makes it very easy to find the dot. The 3 MOA dot itself is fairly unique, as you typically see either a 2 MOA or a 4 MOA dot. While it's entirely personal preference, I find the 4 MOA dot a little bit too big, as that would almost certainly cover a 5-inch steel plate at 100 yards. The 2 MOA dot, however, may be a tad too small to quickly find, especially if you're shooting outside. So, let's go to the range. Here we are at the range. Now, despite having plenty of time playing with the scopes at home, one of the first things that you notice is that the glass is really clear. I was quite impressed with that. Furthermore, despite being a 6x optic, the Wolfhound has generous eye relief. Yes, that muzzle brake sure did move the camera. Okay, going down. Got the scope sighted in, or pretty close. So first round I was aiming for here, came here. Then I was aiming here. It was basically elevation was spot on. It was just shooting about 8 inches to the right. And this is actually where this target's really helpful, is that you have a full target and it's MOA'd out. So now we're basically about an inch low and an inch to the left. So we'll move this out to 100 and go from there. Even though it was a bright sunny day, I did not have to illuminate the reticle on a too high a setting. I believe I only used the 3rd green setting. Now, between green and red, it is entirely your choice. My personal preference is green, and I use green on both optics and fiber optic sights. Okay, time to move on to some durability tests. Yeah, I totally cut my head off here. The range was getting busy and I couldn't do another shot. Sightmark says this scope is IP68 compliant. What this means is that it should be waterproof and it should be shockproof. So let's find out. The first one, let's do the water test. So, it is definitely working. Don't try this at home. Getting water over here. Everywhere. Good thing it's not freezing. Alright, the reticle still works. Yep, there's a little bit of water that got in, so we have a little bit condensation, but it works. And kids, don't try this at home.
As soon as he's done, I'm going to shoot 10 shots.
Still works. Okay, so far the scope has done really well. We've dropped it, we've poured water on it, and there's been absolutely zero issues. I've taken it on and off the rifle numerous times. Shot it again yesterday, and when I mounted it, it was spot on. It did not lose its zero. So I guess the ultimate test, Sightmark says that both of these scopes are waterproof for up to 1 hour. Granted, we're not going to test the depths, but here I have a bucket of water. And let's take a look. As you can see, I have it turned on, and the Wolfhound is on, and the Mini Shot is on. I have my timer set for 1 hour. Start, and we shall see. Okay, so it's been about 28 minutes that have passed, and so far so good. Looking at it from the side, both the red dot and the Wolfhound are still on and we're still working, so we'll check back in a little bit. Interesting. Seriously did not expect this. Alright, so it's been almost an hour and color me impressed. So far so good. There we go. It's been 1 hour. As you can see, we started the test a little bit before 2 o'clock. Right now it's 2:54. It's been 1 hour. So let's take a look. The water's still warm. Alright, as we can see, the red dot still works. Yep. There it is. And there's the illuminated reticle. Well, there you go, guys. The Sightmark Wolfhound 6X and the Sightmark Mini Shot. They are indeed waterproof. Although I highly doubt anyone is actually going to take their optics and dunk them in water. Thanks for watching. Alright, I think that was good.